Well, we start this report, Mike, allowing you the opportunity to talk about the decommitment of tight end Nate Roberts.
Yeah, unfortunate news. In one sense, I mean, really, really good player, Darren. Number 134 overall prospect per the industry ranking. In the 2025 class, number 2 tight end in America. Really good player. Notre Dame got him committed in mid-June, and then here you are. I think like 2 months to the date, almost. He announces his decommitment from the Irish. So he was he is a really nice player and one that, Irish Force is really excited about. The good thing is he did it now. I mean, you'd much rather have that decommitment happen, before the start of junior season compared to, close to signing day or something. So, yeah, kind of a really interesting situation, Darren. His top 3, he told On Three's Chad Simmons that he picked Notre Dame over Ohio State, and then that Clemson kind of finished in 3rd place. Now, all the reports are he's headed to Oklahoma, so a school that wasn't even his top 3, that's, I think, 10 minutes up the road from him, if not closer, with Oklahoma Sooners. Now, and he's trending there. It just kind of the whole thing was a little strange in covering this from my perspective. Um, so he hasn't announced any new commitment, but and I believe Ohio State's still working on him, but it seems like a foregone conclusion that he's going to end up Oklahoma. So strange deal. Notre Dame sources don't really feel too. I don't know what the correct term here is. They're not too rattled by this at all. Notre Dame still seems to be it's still so early, Darren. It's still relatively early in a way in the 2024 class. The signing day still 4 months away. I mean, talking about 2025s and decommitments, I don't think there's any reason to lose sleep over that.
Are there any concerns following this Notre Dame football program about a couple of decommitments that they've had?
So I actually was doing a little bit of research, Darren, and I found a list, or I should say, came up with a list. And if I'm leaving anyone or forgetting one, I would love for folks to let me know. But a list of decommits for Notre Dame since the 2019 class. You had 2 that year, Cade McNamara and TJ Sheffield. 0 in 2020. The only player that left before stepping on the field or enrolling at Notre Dame was Landon Bartleson. If you guys remember his situation with the law, he got released from his NIL, NLI, but he did sign with Notre Dame in 2021. 4 decommitments, but 2 of them, and Deion Colsey and Philip Riley, ended up recommitting to the Irish. So you only had Greg Crippen and David Abiara. In the 2022 class, 5, Darren Agu, Amarion Walker, Jack Nichols, CJ Williams, Devin Moore. That was a high number for 5. How about this? It jumps to 7 in 2023. Jade Lamar, Keon Keeley, Dylan Edwards, Peyton Bowen, Elijah Page, Cedric Irvin, Justin Rhett. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I believe. Okay. And then you had Brandon Hillman would be 8, but again, like Bartleson, signs with Notre Dame and then released from his letter of intent. So far in the 2024 class, Owen Wafel, Brandon Davis Swain, I believe 2 of your first 3 commitments, if not the first 2, decommit. And then Isaiah Canyon here not too long ago. And then in the 2025 class, you already have Nate Roberts. So I've been thinking about this, for folks wondering, oh man, Brian Kelly didn't have this many decommitments, or Lou Holtz, he wouldn't have let this happen. Well, when Lou Holtz was recruiting, a thing called the internet wasn't even really around. Recruiting has just changed so much that these are just the times, Darren. Not only are kids going to commit and decommit based on what's their best interest, you got to look at it from the Notre Dame side of things. They part ways with kids all the time. Going back, I mean, this has been happening for a long time, that this thing happens, that it'll sometimes be initiated from the school side of things. And a few of those names I listed, it wasn't all just kids decommitting from Notre Dame. Sometimes it can be like Notre Dame kind of decommitting from the kid. Like these things, it's just more prevalent nowadays, Darren. And ever since, and I don't have data on this, this is kind of just an opinion or something I've maybe observed a little bit. Ever since COVID, and then more so into this NIL era, staying close to home just seems to be more on big time prospects' minds than ever before. Now, of course, players are leaving their home state, they're going across the country all the time, but it just seems like, I mean, look at the five-star defensive lineman who just committed to Missouri. And then the Ryan Wingo kid from St. Louis, they're, that borderline five-star guy, or it might be a five-star according to some websites. He might end up at Missouri. There's just this push. I mean, I think this work from home age, like people just like to be close to home. And then also there is the NIL component too, where Missouri might be able to do really well in NIL for a kid who's coming from their state who's a five-star player. Whereas you go to Georgia, they get five-star defensive linemen all the time. So from a Notre Dame perspective, Darren, it just seems like a little bit of troubling times, but also they're recruiting so well in 2024 that if they did not have Marcus Freeman, let's say Brian Kelly never left and he's still at Notre Dame, because Marcus Freeman's recruiting, in my opinion, at such a higher level, the ceiling is raised so much more under him than it was under Brian Kelly, that if Kelly were still here, I mean, we might have borderline top 25 classes, let alone, compared to top 10 classes with Marcus Freeman. I truly believe that. So if you put Marcus Freeman, though, in the 2010s at Notre Dame as Notre Dame's head coach and the staff, if you're able to time travel and do that, I think they clean house. I really do. This era is just not kind to Notre Dame. And I don't mean to be a doom and gloom guy on this, Darren, but and again, that's with the context that Notre Dame's also doing extremely well in this 2024 class. I mean, I talked to a source, and sorry, Darren, I know I'm rambling. Talked to a source earlier this week, who said, Notre Dame feels like this is their best class in 2024, decade plus. And it's outside the top 10. So they're still recruiting at a really high level. So you can look at it multiple ways, like, man, if Kelly were still here, I think this, again, you're looking at fringe top 25 classes, just the way recruiting has changed so much. It's a little bit wild.